I want to talk about Hollywood for a second, everybody. Just for this topic alone. We work in the business. We've worked in the business for years, a lot of us. We know it. We love it. But there's stuff that happens behind the scenes that a lot of times you just don't see. And a big thing came for the past few weeks. I've been like, should we talk about it? Should we not talk about it? But as it keeps amping up and amping up and amping up, we have to talk about it. So Dan Schneider, everybody, you probably heard the name. You probably heard about this documentary that came forward, Drake Bell, and everything about Quiet on Set. It's like the big thing about this documentary series that came forward was this. You had somebody that was running Nickelodeon, the guy that comes from being an actor and he rises up. He wants to be a writer. He wants to conquer Nickelodeon and he gets big. He does that's all that. And he moves forward and he freaking does Drake and Josh. He does all these big shows for Nickelodeon, starts spearheading everything. And apparently people talk about how he was so nice and he changed, became an asshole. And there's lots of that happened on his set that shouldn't have happened. And he didn't know about it. He had a little interview that came forward recently. Where he was like, I didn't know this and I apologize to people. I had no idea this was going down. But in his running of Nickelodeon's biggest shows at that time in the 90s, there was a bunch of shit going down with the kids that shouldn't have been happening. Okay? So Dan Schneider had no idea about Brian Peck. And Brian Peck was a dialogue coach. If you don't know what this is, dialogue coach is there to help the kids enunciate things, work through the dialogue, just like kind of go one-on-one so they get their lines down, they figure it out, and they actually deliver the way they want them. And they work on one-on-one behind the scenes and in between takes sometimes. That's this guy was. He actually was a stand-in before that too. And he was on Boy Meets World, he moved to dialogue coach, and he became friends with Ryder Strong and the whole cast there, and they loved him. But on Nickelodeon's side, when he was in Drake and Josh, well, this came for this documentary that he was sexually molesting people, especially Drake Bell. That shit's fucked up. It's fucked up. And then Drake was talking about this, like he came forward finally after all this time, and he said, guys, he goes, I was sleeping on the couch one night, and he's a kid, he's 15 years old, sleeping on a couch, and he wakes up, and he opens his eyes, and he sees this guy there, and he just starts sexually molesting him. He doesn't say exactly the details what happens, but he had no idea how to react, how to do anything. This guy's been training him to be an actor. Like, very, very big part of his career. He came to Hollywood. This guy's helping him. What do you do? And this has been happening for a long time. He came forward. Brian went to jail we didn't go to jail for a long time. He pretty much got a slap on the wrist, registered as a sex offender, and he was out again. And we talked about that in the show recently, but like this shit, you have no idea. On a sitcom in this world, it's such a family sometimes. You would never expect this to happen, And it's such a great thing to have this family dynamic on set. And it really upsets me when I hear about this shit because it can happen, but you never expect it. Like Ron and I worked on a sitcom for years. And Ron knows this world more than I do. I worked on sitcoms for a long time, but not as long as Ron. And it's like, it's such a different world. You work there, you go 5 days a week, and it's like, it's just a bonding experience. It's a tighter environment. It's like a single camera roll. It's like a movie. It's such a growing thing. It's a family. And when you hear about some of this happening in your family and nobody knows, it blows your mind. It throws everything off. And Dan Schneider's trying to be like, oh, it's, it never, he was doing some weird shit too, putting some weird shit on his, they do these stuff on kids shows. They try to like push the barrier, but he's having like water explode in Ariana Grande's face. Like she's having like, you know what I'm talking about, exploding in her face. Like she's stroking a potato, like some weird shit. Some kid has like pretty much looks like he's got dicks on his shoulder and they're laughing about it. It's not funny. And this is a problem in Hollywood that's happened for a long time. I think it's a joke, but it's not good. They're kids. They're freaking kids. And this documentary came out. I watched the first 3 episodes. I haven't watched all 4 yet. I talked to Ronald about it. But I'm like, between Dan Schneider and Brian Peck, it's pretty fucked up. And you want to be in a safe place. I love having Ron here to talk about this kind of stuff. Everything. Ron has a lot of fucking history behind his belt. It's awesome. But Ron, I know you watched some of this too. Were you shocked about this whole experience? Because again, people didn't believe Drake Bell for a while. They're like, oh, he's lying. A bunch of celebrities came forward, were supporting this guy too, and then they came forward. When he came forward, and they had his testimony. People like are backpedaling now. Yeah. Are you surprised? Is this messed up? Because again, this dynamic being on a multi-cam show. Like, how is this going to rock the foundation of Hollywood for a long time? Everyone's talking about. Everybody's commentating on this now.
But you know what? Yeah, I agree with you. I was on the other Viacom Nickelodeon had 2 different sets of shows going. They had Dan Schneider shows, which were just absolutely dysfunctional. And then they had this other set of shows. Now, I did those other set of shows for like 7 years. We would hear about the Dan Schneider antics throughout that whole 7 years.
Damn.
And I was just like, I you hear rumors and you just, I let those things go. But I remember talking about them. But getting the facts of it now and watching these people come forward, mostly women, it really makes me sick. And now that the thing with Drake, it makes me sick because so many of these kids were exploited and they didn't know what to do because they didn't want to get on Dan's bad side. Now,
big time.
There would be a reason for not talking about something ever. But it was just, he did whatever he wanted. They'd have 18-hour shooting days with kids. And
that's insane.
Let it happen. That's another thing. The parents would let it happen. It's like, no, I've never done a show with that. It's like, that producer's down there. You got 1 minute. Let's go.
Yep. Not this. He was trying to work around rules too, so you keep them longer. The kids have no idea. They're just like, you listen to some of the commentary on it, and it's like they were just trying to make him happy because he was the person that could make their career,
right?
And they knew that. And with all that was a big movement for kids too, where they just never had that experience before to play this many characters and be this involved on set. And
seeing you here, Ron.
Peppy, Peppy, come on, man. We've learned a little bit. But yeah, it's just like they really were at the mercy of him too. And you hear about how he was so like demanding of them. And again, the females on the set too, like he hired some guy to just had no experience and someone's working for years. He's trying to tell her to work for free for multiple hours without multiple days. And it's like, what are you doing? It's disgusting, Racer X. It very much is. And usually it doesn't. Just for people out there that have never worked on set, it's normally not like that. Sitcoms, especially, that's this whole world. Situational comedies, that's what this is. Multi-camera, you got 3-4 cameras. Usually have 4 these days. Moving around on track, you shoot it very fast like a play, and it's it's much more like a family compared to single camera.
Very intimate.
It's very intimate, and you have a lot of great. It's usually the best time ever on set. And when you hear about something like this, it's like, how can this happen in this world? It doesn't make sense to me. It seems like someone would have said something, someone would have noticed, and it's just like, but then I hear about, I never worked on any of his shows before either, on Dan's shows, but when I hear about it, I'm like, wow, what was going down, Ron? Like, how was it even allowed? And Nickelodeon let it happen. They did, they let it happen.
Yeah, they did, because it was making them money. What really gets me is the parents were letting it happen. Now, it's like Kris Jenner. It's just, what are they? It's just, you just turn a blind eye because you're going to get, and it's just sick to me.
And a lot of times, like Amanda Bynes is alone with her a lot of times in a hot tub. And it's like, why you?
Another thing, that's what I couldn't help but think about. She's a very troubled girl. And she's extremely talented. What happened in those years that possibly have led to some of the way she acts now? Something just snapped with her, and she's very talented.
Oh yeah, she had a lot of. Like, there's some crazy stuff happened with her, right, Ron? And it makes you wonder.
She's completely gotten rid of her looks, and she was really, really cute. She's totally gotten rid of that. She's anti anything like that, and it's weird from a sitcom star to where she's going now. She seems to be doing better. She's going to be a manicurist, but
that's good.
Yeah. I saw some Instagram post. But yeah, what happened? And there's a rumor with Jamie Lynn Spears too.
I've heard that rumor, Ron. There's a, I don't want to go too far, but there's a rumor. There was an executive at Nickelodeon that never got caught. Never got caught. Got away with a lot of stuff. And that's one of those things that I hate it too, Peppy. And look at this. Here's that picture too, so you guys can see. Here's a picture. The kid has pretty much penises on his fucking shoulders, and you know what I mean? And he was like, I had no idea. And if this is a side, if you saw the side profile, it does.
It's balls in a dick, yeah. It's
balls in a dick. And they're laughing about it behind Video Village and stuff, like getting away with it. And it's like, how do you do this to a kid? And
the stuff they were doing to Ariana Grande.
How did the parents let it happen?
The water and the potato.
Potato thing was a lot. She's like stroking a potato and trying to get. She's like, I'm trying to get something out of it, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? And then the water bottle. Weird. Then she's laying down. There's like a water bottle exploding in her face, and I'm like, this is a lot. No wonder, this is why she went through all this shit. It's why she went through all this shit. GR, I know you're saying this. It's the parents too, but like I think the parents sometimes, they're just thinking about, it's Nickelodeon. It's got to be safe, right? It's Nickelodeon, and they're making this money.
Thinking about the money. That's
that's why we have the Coogan accounts now too, because parents were taking advantage of their kids too, and so there've been a lot of guidelines that have come into place to help kids, but to stop that kind of abuse. But are you shocked, GR? You hear about this? Like, Nickelodeon's a big place. This documentary is like blowing up the business right now. People keep commenting on it constantly, so I had to talk about it tonight. Are you surprised this happened, and do you think that there's any way will this fix it? Will this actually fix the situation? This doesn't happen to more kids in the future, GR?
God, I
hope not it doesn't. I mean, I know, and let's face it, there's been a casting couch in Hollywood for forever. But to take advantage of children in this way, those guys, if I was the parent, they'd be dead. I mean, you take advantage of my kid with that kind of shit, and I would rip your heart out. And I mean literally rip your fucking heart out. Those two dirtbags should be sent to prison. Just let the general population have at them.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and then Brian got a slap on the wrist, pretty much.
I sound a little harsh, people, but
this poor kid,
to me,
GR.
There's no excuse for taking advantage of kids.
Yeah, this poor kid though, like, he's grown up now. He's got to talk about it.
Yeah,
people didn't believe him.
150%.
Thanks, Pep Star. This kid, GR. He's
help,
like,
just let me know. I'll take care of it for you.
Nice.
Yeah. I just feel bad. It's like, because you see the dynamic on set. It doesn't normally work like this. It doesn't. So you hear about this stuff and how you think about Harvey. I saw Queen say Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. It's not normally like this. There's just some bad apples that have been out there, and the Harvey Weinstein shed light on them, but some of them got away.
Yep.
And this guy, even Dan, he was yelling at people, talking about, I guess, the one of the females on set. He was like, "Oh, didn't you used to do sex calls or something like that?" Got her really upset, and she freaking left the show, working for him for years. There's not every producer's like that. A lot of producers are freaking sweethearts. They're great, and they're good people, but there are some that just don't treat people right. And this is a thing that's a problem. In every workforce, it's there. But here, it's becoming a bigger and bigger deal since Harvey Weinstein. And now with this, you're seeing about the kid aspect, and you think, who's safe? Well, nobody's safe. Shit can happen everywhere. When you're a kid, the parent's supposed to be there, of course, but sometimes it's hard to be. And I feel like you put your trust in these people that are supposed to be reasonable adults who are supposed to take care of your kids and guide them to have a great career, and they just take advantage of them. And that's fucked. It's fucked. Now, Jordan,
that's beyond fucked.
It's fucked. Now, Jordan, I know you're an actor, and I know I don't know if you want your kid ever to be an actor, but can you imagine?
The kid's got the charisma, let me tell you.
Well, Jensen is fucking awesome. Jensen is a smart motherfucker.
Oh man!
But with that, in your mind, and hearing this news, would you? If Jensen comes, he's like, "Dad, I'm ready for this. I want to do this. You're an actor. I'm an actor." Would you have some kind of reservations to setting him this way? Because a show like Nickelodeon was supposed to be safe to kids is doing this, or do you think that it would just make you be like, "I have to fucking really be there more than any of these people"? Does it make you worried about it?
It does. I mean, this is a hard topic because maybe I could have talked about this better before I had a child, but now that I have a kid, it's like that's all you think about is protecting them.
Yep.
And if he's got the talent, I'd love for him to make it big. But then again, you see all the
Brian Peck pops in, I'm gonna dialogue coach him away. It's like, well, fuck, dude.
You see how they take advantage of children in the business. It's terrible. I mean, you see them grow up. A lot of them, it's like, God, some of them make it.
Doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't, Peps.
I would like to hopefully, if my kid ever had the opportunity, I hope he'd be mature enough to come to me if he ever had a problem. And I would never put anything above my child. I don't know how any parent could. I mean, just for the fucking money or whatever. I mean, this is a hard topic, but
it's a freaking, it's hard, man. I think and Brian, this guy, Brian Peck, here's a picture of him right here. I have a friend who actually worked with him as a stand-in before he became a dialogue coach too. And he's like, he actually called me up. I'm not going to say names or anything like that, but he called me up. He's like, dude, he goes, did you hear about Brian Peck? And I was like, yeah, I heard about Brian Peck. He's like, dude, I worked with that fool. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I worked with that fool. And he's like, this is crazy. Because again, there's a lot of people that worked with him that think, oh, he wouldn't do that. Or there are people who stood up for him.
Well,
and it's like,
not to interrupt. That's another thing you sent me when you sent all the actors that wrote that after he got convicted, and to like make his sentence a little less. They write character letters, character references to the judge, James Marsden, and all them. I'm like, come on,
I love James,
man.
but James said that too. But he was friends with him before. He had no idea. This guy, that Brian Peck guy, was a guy that would become your best friend. He's like, I've seen people like him too, that just like kind of like. They go too far. Yeah, it's charisma, but they also go too far with boundaries. And when I see that, sometimes I worry. I'm like, honestly, you shouldn't be talking to that kid that much. I get your stand-in. Because a lot of times adults stand in for actors too. And he started as a stand-in, then he became that's a very natural progression. I've seen that happen for multiple people that started as a stand-in and became a dialogue coach, make much more money. You're working one-on-one with the actors. A lot of times it happens when they have been working on a kid's show, like, oh, they're fine with the kids, so it's fine. But like, you get a predator like this that does something like this, and it's like it could easily happen, and it happened here on big productions, and it's frightening. It's just frightening. It shouldn't happen. There's so many checks that go through all of your background checks working on kid shows and stuff, but then this still happened. It's nuts. And anybody that has a kid, I don't have a kid, but if I had a kid, I would be nervous about it too, just because I know the business. I know, and I've seen these things. I've heard about these things.
I just can't believe it's gone on, and it's now just coming to light. I just can't believe it's gone on this long.
Yeah.
It's fucking.
People did defend this guy, Captain Action. People defended this guy. A bunch of people did because he was very charismatic. Didn't happen all the time, and people defended him. They were like, "Oh, he's a nice guy. How could Peck do it? It was a big thing." And now he'd register as a sex offender, but he really didn't even go the way. It was like 4 months or something like that. It wasn't even a big deal for him. Really, it was nothing. It was nothing. And this documentary is shedding light on, of course, Schneider's world, what he was allowing to happen, how he was a control freak, but also this stuff happened on his watch. It happened on his watch. And the day you're responsible for that. You are, and it's hard enough right now to get a job in this town. People are very reluctant to hire people. People are cutting back, and people are. Ron and I talking about an article today about how work is down tremendously in Hollywood right now. After the last strike, we had this big contract negotiation where it was like, we've got better wages. That's great, but now all of a sudden, people want to hire as many people, and so less people are working. Okay, wages are great, less people are working. My only hope is with this, though, that that's what's happening, that they actually take a second and analyze things better so people like this don't end up on those sets. Because if you're going to have some people working, it's like, I think we're down like 27%, I think it was, since last year?
Yes.
27 since last year, Ron. Those are big numbers. I know there's a lingering strike that's happening. I get that. And I get people are nervous about, like, if we start now, we're going to lose more money. But I think, though, at the end of the day, we just have to have better regulatory, guidelines here so that people like this don't show up on set. And if you have less people working, make sure the right people are actually working, Ron.
Yes. There was in mid SAG strike, there was a person that was interviewed, and she said that, everybody's going for more wages and this and that. The studio will retaliate and do less work because they're going to have to pay more money. She called it.
Yeah.
It's such baby games. My God.
It's dumb. And that's why I had a friend, Ron. I had a friend that was like, talking about the new contract, and he was like, oh, it's going to be great because they're guaranteed these many jobs. Like, there's no guarantee for any job.
No.
Peppy, we get it. You love Ron. I get it, man.
I love it, Peppy.
Ron, I love Ron. You love Ron. Everywhere there's Ron.
Yeah,
but
what do you say?
He said TMI. But Ron, that thing, I knew that was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. And my friend was like, oh, well, they guaranteed there's X amount of more background, X amount more. Yeah, you can say on paper you can't go non-union until that number, right? But that doesn't stop them from like doing less union people. And they either rewrite scenes. Stand-ins, they have like 2 to 3 stand-ins. That's they have to have that at least max. Yeah. And so what they do, they have like 2 stand-ins for 16 cast members, because they can, or they double up background, or they have cut the scenes. I mean, you're gonna have less people working. Great, the wages are higher.
Stay for overtime.
No, oh no, that happen. I know a lot of people are either not working or they're working like straight 8s these days. And that's fine. Happy to be working, but at the end of the day, though, too. They're not letting you. They're like watching your hours more closely. They're trying to cut you as fast as they can, and it's not they're making. They're trying to make it the same amount of money they made before. Like, you guys can give a little bit more money out. You can do that, right? Take care of your people who are busting their ass, and you know what? And don't short the content because people are getting paid more. Make the content great and pay people appropriately because they're wasting their life here away with you, like busting their ass away from their families and their friends, and keep them safe.
I'm in a union where I work now, and whether it's producers or the company, they always find a way after contract negotiations.
Dude, it's true,
I'm
Jordan.
telling you.
Every fucking union thing, they find a way. Life finds a way.
Yep.
It's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. It's conventions. Oh, Peppy, you want us to drink? All right, man. In Queensland, I used to attend conventions. I met several former child actors, and most of them didn't have good experiences about their on their time on set, which is true. I mean, I think that
a lot of the interviews I've seen.
Yeah, I worked with Macaulay Culkin. I love that fool. He's a fucking great person. But you can tell as we talked a little bit, like he's gone through some shit. He even said, like, as he's like freaking like pacing and going through his mind and stuff, he's like, I hate this shit. I love this shit. So he's, as a child actor, you go through a lot, and people don't see it, and they think, oh, it's fine. You're a billionaire. You're Home Alone. How many times like what that kid went through? How much of his childhood he sacrificed? And then no, not a millionaire. Not a millionaire. And the abuse you get through.
I almost think it's better to get in the business later on, 20s, 30s, even 40s.
I think it's better to do everything later on.
How about 60s?
60s? I think the best time, JR, to start is when you're 69 or 70 years old. I think that's when you have your best career.
Why not? What are they going to do? Take away my birthday?
Right, exactly. Sorry. I love the buckets.
But, the bottom line, these guys that were doing this are dirtbags.
Yep.
Mm.
But the bottom line, the problem comes down to the parents.
Yep.
You got a kid. You got to talk to your kid.
Pay attention.
Make sure that they know that there are inappropriate things that can happen. Somebody wants you to do something or says something to you, you don't feel comfortable with it, you come to me.
Yep.
And I'll go over and bitch slap the son of a bitch.
Yep.
I think
that person.
I think what happened is the parents put so much pressure on their children.
Oh, yeah.
They felt they had to do anything in their power to keep this celebrity status.
Oh, it's okay. Just do this. It's okay. We'll do this
Yep,
one.
One thing.
Brian, you and I both
and
know
those
two
parents
actors
should be
that
shot.
are very adjusted for the industry. And they had early success. And both of their parents were right up their ass the entire time until they were 18. And their foundation, both of them, is great.
And in the time, they're like, oh, you saw it once in a while. Like, but that's what you need, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a kid, like navigating this world is not easy. I mean, I'm almost 40 years old, and it's hard for me when I came here at 23 years old, and it was hard for me to navigate at that age. I can't imagine being a teenager, let alone like 10. Some of these kids are like 8 years old to 10 years old, like doing that. How would you do it? You don't know what even life is at that point. You have no idea how to even put like X, Y, and Z together to make a fucking sentence, let alone navigate a professional workforce. And if someone's like trying to, I'm helping you. I'm your friend. I'm helping you. It's no problem. I'll take care of you. We're buddies, right? Trust me. And as a kid, you go, I trust you. Yes, we're at work. This must be fine. And then what happens? And even this Drake guy, he's like, it happened one time. Oh, he apologized. Oh, must be fine. Then it happens again. Then it happens again. He apologized
for that behavior. What the?
He apologized.
Because that makes it all better. Just there's a rug, sweep it.
I didn't mean to touch you or touch myself next to you.
I didn't.
Like, come on.
It just happened. I slipped.
Another guy's like there's another guy that was like sending videos to a underage girl and being like, this is how you make me feel as he's touching himself. Like, this is how much I care about you. That's what he said. And the mother saw it and it's like, what are we fucking doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? These are children. These are children that are already put into a specific situation. What? What, GR?
If it was my daughter, he'd be dead.
Yeah. I think most parents.
Unfortunately, it isn't most parents, Brian. I wish it was.
It should be.
Too many of them are blinded, as Ron was saying, by the lights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The problem is, though, GR, is like, at the end of the day, children are forced into a workforce because we need it. We need it for content, for entertainment. It makes sense for storylines. The problem with that is when there's not good enough barriers put up between adults and children where it's a weird situation, things like this happen. And I hope in the future, Nickelodeon still really has not addressed this. They're like kind of dancing around it, you know. I hope at the end of the day, internally at least, they take some steps to fix shit. Because I love Nickelodeon. I worked for them for years, but I will say they really just take advantage because they have these deals. Disney does too. The Mouse does it all the time, where you have 3 seasons and then you cancel it and you abuse kids for 3 seasons, work them a lot of times, and then you pay them under scales, and then at that time when they're supposed to go full scales, you fire them, and that's not right. So I hope that the whole
show,
or you either Sweet Life on Deck.
Netflix does the same thing.
Yep. Does the same thing. Take care of your children. They're the future tomorrow, guys. Take care of them and don't let this shit happen ever again. Just don't. Just don't. It's very unfortunate. And I feel bad. And I feel bad for Drake, too, that no one believed him for a while. Our people, you know?
It's horrible.
It's horrible. I can't imagine.
That sucks.
No.
It sucks. It sucks freaking bad. And if I were him, I'd probably be gun shy about coming forward. But you know, it's what he did. He finally did, and it's going to help people in the future, hopefully. I hope so. I really hope so.